The Treasury Department reports the federal government spent $98 billion over its budget in July, but CNS News says the government has not reported any rise in the national debt. In fact, the debt has reportedly been stuck for 3 months at the exact same figure, $16,669,396 million. Joining us now with more is Terry Jeffrey, who just wrote about this mysterious discrepancy for CNSnews.com. Terry, what's going on here? Are we talking fuzzy math?
Yeah, maybe something a little worse than that. What's happened is that the Treasury has parked the national debt at exactly $16,699,396 million, which is $25 million below the legal debt limit. They've done it now for 90 days. And it's not quite clear they can explain exactly what the mathematics is on a daily basis that they do it. But every single one of the daily Treasury statements, which is an accounting that the Treasury puts out every day, every single one now for 90 days has said that exact same figure.
How do you do it? Well, if the government has exceeded the legal debt ceiling, what does that mean? Will there be any fallout?
Well, there is. I mean, eventually what's going to happen is Congress is either going to have to raise the legal limit on the debt, or the executive branch is going to have to stop spending money. We know when they grapple with that, there's going to be a huge political conflict in Washington, D.C. And essentially what they've done, the Treasury, the administration, has decided not to have that fight now, not to have it a couple of months ago, but to wait till this fall when we have the end of the fiscal year at September 30th. So there's going to be this sort of perfect fiscal storm happening in Washington, because as of September 30th, the legislation that currently funds the government expires. So Congress is going to have to pass a bill saying that the executive branch is going to spend money. And I believe that about that same time, the Treasury is going to say, oh, by the way, we're now going to let the debt go up to that debt limit. And Congress is going to have to decide to raise the debt limit. It is going to be a huge political struggle over those two things at the same time.
So can anything be done to hold the government accountable on its own spending limits?
Yeah, I think so. I think Congress ought to have hearings about how the Treasury accounts for the spending and borrowing of the United States in times like this. And I think there needs to be more public awareness of the fact that and by the way, in the past, Congress has given statutory authority to the Treasury to do this. I think the American people need to be more aware of how the Treasury of the United States manipulates the accounting of the spending and borrowing of the United States in times like this so that they can deal with it politically the way they want to, which is what really is going on. I don't think most people realize this. I think they need to, because I think ultimately we're headed towards a big, an historical fiscal crisis in this country. And what we're going to see this fall is sort of a prelude to that.
Real quickly, a University of California economics professor says the national debt is actually closer to $70 trillion because of unfunded liabilities like Social Security and Medicare. Why doesn't the government count these massive funding commitments?
Well, they actually do, but they're in very obscure documents. If you go and look at the trustees' reports for Medicare and for Social Security, they talk about these unfunded liabilities, which are the promises that the government has made to people now alive who are paying payroll taxes for Social Security and Medicare benefits when they retire. And you hear all kinds of people in Washington, left, right, Republican, Democrat, saying that this burden is unsustainable. That is true. But the question is, what is the remedy in terms of actual public policy to deal with this? And no one's come up with a solution that's politically viable at this point. And that's why, regrettably, I think we are headed down the road towards a fiscal crisis like we've never seen in this country, precisely because of those unfunded liabilities.
All right, Terry, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.